Comments from the president on Air Force One. Yeah, okay. Basically, I saw like 1 or 2 clips from this, and it seems really bad.
Venezuela right now. Have you spoken to the newly sworn-in president there, Rodriguez? And what are your thoughts on the entire situation? You said the U.S. would run Venezuela.
We're dealing with the people. We're dealing with the people that just got sworn in. And don't ask me who's in charge, because I'll give you an answer and it'll be very controversial.
What does that mean?
It means we're in charge.
Have you?
So for one, that's like a straight up confirmation of what I said earlier, right? Like we made a deal with the generals to get Maduro out. Donald Trump said we're in charge because that's what he was told. Kanye moment? Yeah. I'm not going to tell you the nation that's in charge of Venezuela. It's the American nation.
Spoken with her?
We're in charge.
Have you spoken with her?
No, I haven't, but other people have.
Do you want to?
I haven't, but other people have. It's like so transparent. Marco Rubio set this up. Marco Rubio talked with, or at least, you know, envoys of the State Department, reached out and made contact with the higher-ups in Venezuela. Like this whole thing was facilitated, you know? Nothing is going to change over there. Jesus Christ. If anything, it's going to get worse because now they've been made more subservient to American political interests, but not in a way that would like influence their democracy. Do you think he even knew about this? I would not be surprised if he was missing like huge details on the operation.
And the oil companies are ready to go. They're going to go in. They're going to rebuild the infrastructure. You know, we built it to start off with many years ago. They took it away. You can't do that. You can't do that with me. They did it with other presidents.
Did this mean literally the only thing that's different is that Maduro's gone? Yeah, it kind of seems like it. It seems like the only difference in Venezuela from the perspective of a Venezuelan is that Maduro is gone. So I guess the question is like, do you think that what's her name? Velasquez. What's her first name? Here, I think it was here. Not the tuna. Delcy Rodriguez, not Velasquez, sorry. Delcy Rodriguez, will she do a better job of like controlling the worst impulses of the underlings? I have no idea. I don't know enough about her. Also, I can't predict the future.
They're going to be taken very good care of. Yes, ma'am.
Spoken with the oil companies about
Yes.
going into Venezuela.
I have.
Which ones? Have you received any commitments?
All of them, basically.
Any commitments from the oil companies?
They want to go in so badly.
Jesus Christ.
Did you speak with them before the operation took place?
Yes.
Did you maybe tip them off about what
Before and after. And they want to go in, and they're going to do a great job for the people of Venezuela. And they're going
So this is the president saying that he briefed the oil companies on the top secret military operation that he didn't tell Congress about. This is why Marco Rubio didn't fill him in on all the details. He literally cannot shut the fuck up.
to represent us well.
They're going to represent us well.
Did you speak with them before the operation took place?
Yes.
Did you maybe tip them off about what
Before and after. And they want to go in, and they're going to do a great job for the people of Venezuela. And they're going to represent us well because of tariffs.
There was a time.
Without tariffs, we wouldn't have 10 cents being invested.
There was a time back in 2016, and I remember your RNC speech, and you were saying that regime change and nation building.
Forgive me if you've all already seen this. Oil execs don't want anything to do with Venezuela. Yeah, we've talked about this a lot. I'm sure anyone who's watching right now has seen me say this, but yeah, oil companies do not want to work in Venezuela. Setting up oil extraction infrastructure is expensive. The oil down there needs a lot of refinement in order to be useful. And right now, the price of oil is so low internationally. It's at like $52 a barrel. The price of oil is so low that there's no profit to be made. There would be more of a profit to be made in just setting up shop in America, just putting down more oil rigs in America. And they're not.
When you were speaking at the RNC back in 2016, you were criticizing regime change and nation building, the U.S. being involved in that. It seems obviously that your stance has changed on that. What led to that? Is the U.S. nation building now? Is that
This isn't a country that's on the other side of the world. This isn't a country like where you have to travel 24 hours in an airplane. This is Venezuela. It's in our area. The Don Road Doctrine.
So is that what you would say?
The Monroe Doctrine. It's so clear he's been getting his pointers on this from Rubio. Like he even knows what the Monroe Doctrine is.
That we're in the business of nation building?
No,
now?
we're in the business of having countries around us that are viable and successful, and where the oil is allowed to freely come out because that's good. It gets the prices down. That's good for our country.
Apparently, the whole operation was leaked ahead of time to the press as well. Yep, and the press didn't report on it, which means that the administration not only leaked the information, but also prompted oil companies beforehand to let them know we were going to do a regime change, and the press still didn't go public with it. Why did we bomb Caracas? Because we clearly had a deal. Because it would not make us look good if it was obvious that we were only able to take Maduro because his underlings had offered him up. Like, we needed to make it look like we took him against the will of the Venezuelan government. We don't want to make it public that the people who are really in charge in Venezuela are the same narco criminals, the same drug dealers and warlords, the same people running the police and military. They don't want to acknowledge the fact that we essentially just cut a deal. It's the same reason Bukele over in El Salvador doesn't like it being talked about publicly, that he made deals with all the major gangs in that country, you know? Like, the way he was able to really quickly clean up gang crime was by doing a lot of illicit backroom dealing. But he doesn't want that acknowledged, of course, because that makes him look weaker than the narrative that he just directly confronted those gangs.
Reliable and successful, and where the oil is allowed to freely come out because that's good. It gets the prices down. That's good for our country. Now, we have a very sick neighbor. It's not a neighbor, but it's close to a neighbor, and that's Venezuela. It's very sick. Colombia is very sick, too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States. And he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you.
What does that mean? He's not going to be doing it very long.
He's not doing it very long. He has cocaine mills and cocaine factories. He's not going to be doing it very long.
So there will be an operation by the U.S. and...
It sounds good to me. Yeah. You know why?
Yeah, the cocaine factories. Tommy Hort. I just popped in. What's going on? We're looking at comments made by Trump on Air Force One earlier today, and so far we have him saying he wants to conduct a similar operation in Colombia. This really does escape any form of political commentary. Yeah. Keep in mind the Colombian government, for all the problems in Colombia, the Colombian government is a democracy, and its leader's pretty good. Its leader's also a democratic socialist, so obviously, you know, not a big fan, mutually. Yes, it is also a U.S. ally.
Trying to protect him.
There's been protesters killed in Iran. You said we were locked and loaded, ready to go. What is the line there for when the U.S. is going to get involved in those protests?
We'll take a look. We're watching it very closely. If they start killing people like they have in the past, I think they're going to get hit very hard by the United States.
Is that something?
Trying to protect him.
It is. We talked about a drug.
Hello, Lindsey Graham. How interesting that while Donald Trump is doing neocon shit, he is now suddenly in the company of the very unpopular Lindsey Graham, a neocon, who's crowing about all of the regime change we're doing. How interesting.
Caliphate in our backyard. You know, we had Venezuela, we have Cuba, we have Colombia in our backyard. And these three countries have been condemned ever since I've been in politics. It is. Could have done it. And as to this commander-in-chief, he did something people talked about doing. You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship that's killed priests and nuns. They've preyed on their own people. Their days are numbered. We're going to wake up one day, I hope in 26, in our backyard, we're going to have allies in these countries doing business with America, not narco.
It's insane. Like, even at the height of our Cold War meddling in Latin America, we did not have senators going up to the press and saying, yeah, any one of these days, we're just going to kill him. Just gonna wake up one day and there's going to be a good old boy running Cuba and not one of them commies.
Terrorist dictators killing Americans. This is a big frigging day. And everybody in the world is thinking differently than they were just a few days ago because of what you did.
That's true. So far, the international community is confirming the suspicions of Marco Rubio and other Trump officials that there are no consequences to doing this kind of shit. Keep in mind, like, people love to talk down on the United States from Europe or whatever. Keep in mind the EU has yet to do anything about us. We've threatened to attack and invade, like, 15 different allies, including a member of the EU, by the way, Greenland, Denmark, and they are not doing anything. Not even condemning, mind you. Like, individual leaders might say, this makes our tummy hurt, but, like, they're not doing anything. The EU trading bloc is massive. If they wanted, they could use reciprocal tariffs to bring us to our knees. And the American people would be very unhappy. But so far, every country just bends the knee. And you know why? Because the people that run the world are corporations, corporatists. The bourgeois run the world. And they don't give a what Trump is doing. As far as they're concerned, the only thing that matters is the profits they bring in through their enterprise. The reason the leaders in Europe can't, amass these tariffs to condemn Trump or condemn the United States or whatever is because at the end of the day, it's not them who makes that call. It's the corporations that run the country. And they don't want that because it would get in the way of their business. That's it. Only America gets to play silly with it, and that's because we're the center of international commerce. We're the only country where there is such a disproportionate amount of political and capital influence that we get to ride those fluctuations. But nobody in Europe, no country in Europe, at least not enough of them, right, are willing to make that wave. Even countries that have been pretty based on, like, say, Palestine, like Spain and Ireland, they're not, like, really doing anything,
By the way, you mentioned something that's interesting. Lindsay mentioned bin Laden. Do you know I wrote about bin Laden 1 year before the attack on the World Trade Center? And I said, you got to go after bin Laden. It was in my book. And very few people want to say that, but it was in my book. You know that, I think. You've actually talked about it. But if they would have listened to me, they would have taken out bin Laden, and you wouldn't have had the World Trade Center tragedy.
Yeah, this is certainly going.
Did you know that? I predicted bin Laden.
I learned something every day.
No, but did you hear that?
Well, I didn't know. I just heard it right
now. No, I wrote a book. It was 1 year before the attack that the book came out, and it talked about, there's a whole page, a whole section dedicated to a guy named bin Laden who's a bad guy who you have to take out.
So I'll get the book. But right after the election,
Jesus Christ.
Think of that. And now we're going to stop him by land, too. The land is easy. We had to do the sea before we did the land because it just works out.
Yeah, you were just talking about the land, but it sounded like
and by the way, you have to do something with Mexico. Mexico has to get their act together because they're pouring through Mexico, and we're going to have to do something. We'd love Mexico to do it. They're capable of doing it. But unfortunately, the cartels are very strong in Mexico.
I remember one time you actually, speaking of Mexico, I asked you about Claudia Sheinbaum, and you told me at one point you had offered to send U.S. troops into Mexico to combat drug trafficking there. Is that something you have spoken to her about?
I think she's a terrific person. I would say every single time I talk to her, I offered to send troops.
And she's just not willing?
State media reporters, man. She's just not willing? What, dude, what did you offered to invade her country and she didn't even say yes? What the stupid bitch. I hate. Marco Rubio will be this generation's Kissinger. No, he won't. Kissinger was smart. Evil, but smart. No, Marco Rubio is mentally unexceptional. He's competent, which is more than can be said about most of the people in this administration, but he's not particularly bright.
Concerned. She's a little afraid. The cartels are running Mexico. Whether you like it or not, it's not nice to say, but the cartels are running Mexico. Think of that. And now we're going to stop them by land, too. The land is easy. We had to do the sea before we did the...
I think it's better to say there are no consequences for Trump doing this if the country in question is a pariah. Yeah, which means they could do it to Cuba. Like, I think it is almost guaranteed that we make a run on Cuba at some point within the next year. That being said, I also do not think it's an impossibility that we take action against Mexico, Colombia, or Greenland. I really don't think, like, okay, realistically, if America sends a carrier fleet out to the capital of Greenland, the port town, I don't know the name, and sends troops in and says, we're here to protect you, this is ours now, or whatever, what do you think the EU is going to do? Nook? Gotcha. What do you think the EU is going to do? We're doing appeasement bullshit again, man. Trump's annexing the Sudetenland, and Europe is like, this isn't going to get too spicy, right?
The land because it just works out.
Yeah, you were just talking about the land, but it sounded like speaking of those U.S. troops, I mean, one thing that Americans and a lot of people are wondering, you just sounded like you weighed out another strike, another land strike, at least in Venezuela. You sound like you weighed that out. But
we didn't need it. We were prepared to do a second strike if we needed it. We're totally prepared.
But that's off the table.
We're still prepared.
That's off the table now.
No, it's not. If they don't behave, we will do a second strike.
The question is that...
Uh...
That's off the table now.
No, it's it's not. If they don't behave, we will do a second strike.
The question is that the American troops, are they going to be on the ground? They're doing any kind of peacekeeping? I think Americans are very...
It depends on what happens. It depends a little bit on the new administration, if you want to call it
So
that.
if you see that pushback from Rodriguez and ultimately...
We'll look at her press conference shortly.
I think that,
She
frankly,
called it...
well, you know, you hear a different person than I hear.
Really? So you have spoken with her?
We talked to them, yeah.
Oh, you did speak.
They've been very good.
That's off the table now.
No, it's not. If they don't behave.
I think it's important to remember the chilling effect this has in the next election cycle. Countries will not vote left out of fear. I mean, not if nobody does anything about anything, you know? The international community could crush America economically in no time if they wanted to. Like, seriously, we're such a treat the right nation. We're so dependent on our cheap tricks, our cheap snacks. But they're not doing it. China could do it, but China's pussy shit. They're big pussies.
I think Americans are very...
It depends on what happens. It depends a little bit on the new administration, if you want to call it
So
that.
if you see that pushback from Rodriguez and ultimately...
Well, I don't think there was pushback. I think that,
She called
frankly,
it...
well, you know, you hear a different person than I hear.
Really? So you have spoken with her?
We talked to them, yeah.
Oh, you did speak.
They've been very good.
Because she called it kidnapping of Maduro.
It's all right. It's not a bad term. Go ahead.
Doing any kind of...
It's not a bad term.
Go ahead.
Now, are you going to demand that Delcy Rodriguez let opposition figures return or free any political prisoners?
We haven't gotten to that yet. Right now, what we want to do is fix up the oil, fix up the country, bring the country back, and then have elections.
It's like, just, it boggles the mind. Insane. Hey, are you going to work on the extradition of the American political prisoners that have been held for the past couple of months? You know, the innocent people that Maduro's regime locked up in an effort to get leverage against us? Nah, we're mostly just focused on the oil.
Now, is it fair?
We better bring the country back. Otherwise, you're gonna have a mess that's so bad. It was really bad. It's going to get a lot worse unless we go in and fix it.
Is the U.S. going to?
It's just unbelievable. It like no president at any point, not just a president, like even African warlords would shy away from language this. Like seriously, you look at a speech from like Mugabe or whatever in Zimbabwe. Look at him. He was a lunatic, but his speeches were way the more measured than this. It's insane.
You
We've actually been asked to do it.
You and Putin and on the phone, of course, with Zelensky at Mar-a-Lago.
It's because it would get you killed by a subordinate. It's only possible to do this in a country like America. That's true. That's the big blessing that Trump gets. That's the reason we're in a democracy. It's the reason why, like, maybe approval rating matters less here. Like, if you're very unpopular in a democratic country, people are like, can't wait to vote against you next election. If you're very unpopular in a, war-torn, lawless country, then somebody in your cabinet will just shoot you in your sleep and take your place the next day. It's a different system.
Yeah.
You told me that
Numerous times.
You told me that your New Year's resolution was peace on earth. Do you think that 2026, if you could set a deadline of when the Russia-Ukraine war...
I don't do deadlines, but I would say that, like as an example, Thailand and Cambodia.
Well,
I was very proud of that. Wait a minute. And they started up again and they got it solved.
Where does
I give myself 1/4 of a point for that. So now I'm 8 1/4 points because they started up Thailand and Cambodia, and now it's okay.
So where does it actually stand between Russia
I
and
think we'll have a
Ukraine
deal
right now?
at some point, hopefully in the not too distant. So I don't know if you saw the numbers just came out. 30,000 soldiers were killed this current month.
And there was that in
30,000. 27,000 the month before.
You and Senator Ray discussed additional Russia sanctions.
Please God, list the 8. None of these journalists will. They never, ever, ever will, because they're huge pussies, and all they care about is having access to Trump. All journalists love Trump because they get to talk to him easily. As long as they toe the line, they get to have as many conversations with him as they want. It means they always have a job. That's it. That's it. It's just money to them. They hate you. They hate life.
It's a disaster. We got to fix the country fast.
President Trump, are there going to be any more? You said the oil companies are going there. Are there any other companies that you've talked to about dealing with Venezuela? Maybe Mr. Ludwig could talk about that. Are there any other corporations, entities outside
Many
of oil?
outside of the oil business.
Like who?
Well, the oil business, yes, but outside, yes. Howard, you want to
You have steel, you have minerals, right? All the critical minerals. They have a great mining history that's gone rusty. So steel, aluminum, minerals. I mean, this is all, it's a rich, it was once upon a time one of the great
Who's this guy? Howard Lutnick. Just loot goblin? Yeah. All the material wealth extraction we can engage in. It's like new mercantilism, man.
and cultures of the world, and it was destroyed, and now President Trump is going to fix it and bring it back for the Venezuela.
But it's not easy. It's really gone bad.
Any rare earth?
But it's got potential. What?
Any rare earth minerals?
They have rare earth, but everybody has rare earth. Rare earth is not rare. What's rare is the processing. We're doing processing plants all over. There's no such thing as rare earth. The rare earth is everywhere. What isn't everywhere is the processing of rare earth, and we have a lot of places going up right now.
One thing we haven't heard you specifically.
Phenomenal. Okay. Is that the end of foreign policy? Here he is talking about Tim Walz, Somalis, Los Angeles, canceling the Olympics, Portland. Huh.
The other
Short term, next 2 weeks, what do you need from Delcy Rodriguez? You've threatened Delcy.
Total access. We need total access. We need access to the oil and to other things in their country that allow us to rebuild their country.
What other things?
A lot of things. Roads that aren't built, bridges that are falling down. Yeah, bridges that are falling down, nobody can go anywhere.
Like the roads to the oil. Jesus Christ, man. It's the Raj. We're doing the Raj again. What do you mean America never did nothing for you? We built your bridges. Yeah, the bridges you built led directly to the oil silos. This is so incredibly stupid. At least we don't have to, like, argue with liberals over whether or not we're doing authentic nation building. At least he's really straightforward about the fact that this is a looting scheme, you know? And the entire MAGA movement literally overnight switched from no more foreign wars, no more occupation, America first, so on and so forth, to, actually, America first is when you vassalize every country in your hemisphere. Took no time at all.
And on Greenland,
On Greenland now?
yeah, on Greenland.
How did we come up to Greenland?
So, do you expect to take an action against Greenland?
Well, I don't want to talk about Greenland. Let's talk about Venezuela, Russia, Ukraine, and we'll worry about Greenland in about 2 months. Let's talk about Greenland in 20 days.
On Venezuela, we talked so much about energy.
By the way, I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you.
I think it's a big
You know what Denmark did recently to boost up security in Greenland? They added one more dog sled. It's true. They thought that was a great move.
What would the justification be for a claim to Greenland? What would the justification?
Oh, I don't want to talk about Greenland now. I just say this. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And the European Union needs us to have it, and they know that.
I think there's some.
Right now, I really think that if we annexed Greenland, they would let us. You would get, like, Twitter posts from van der Leyen saying, we are monitoring the situation. Iran would raise the red flag of we're not going to do anything. The Houthis would fire a rocket directly into the Red Sea, hitting nothing. There are no mechanisms to hold America accountable. What's Greenland going to do? Throw some snowball? I mean, it's not a matter of what Greenland could do. Like, if in a just, reasonable world, if we annexed Greenland, the entire European Union, along with Latin America and Canada and a bunch of other allied countries, would immediately embargo us. That makes total sense to me. I don't know. Like, if anything, that's like the moderate solution, not tariffs, an embargo. Like, in a normal world, that's a normal thing to do. What would even be the point of taking Greenland? Part of it is an aura farming thing. A lot of it is the fact that there are the powers that be want, like, direct control over and access to the Arctic Circle, right? Like, having Greenland would give us a strategic kind of position in a part of the world that has largely historically been of interest to Russia. Because, of course, Russia is like half of the Arctic Circle. We already have Alaska? Yeah, well, then we'd have more. You know, that's it. We just have more. A lot of it also is that it's part of the, like, regional power theory, right? Like, we don't want allies. The Trump administration does not want allies. It's ours or it's not, from their perspective. Like, You know, why did Adolf Hitler annex Austria when they were already basically allied, right? Like they could have, like, do you think Austria wouldn't have gone along with what Hitler wanted anyway, even without the annexation? That's the point. You don't want an ally. They don't want other people across the table to deal with. It's one state. They want one state, or like a vassalized state, basically, you know. Do you think there's a genuine chance he goes after Canada? No, I think the Canada thing is mostly trolling. Though, honestly, at this point, if we did invade Canada, it seems like the EU would issue a strong letter of condemnation. But Greenland is a real possibility.
I think there's some confusion
The
about
operation in Venezuela will affect your relationship with Xi Jinping and China.
No, I don't think so. I have a very good relationship. We have the power of tariffs, and he has other powers on us. You know?
Are you still planning to travel to see him in April?
Yeah, I'll be going in April.
I think there's some confusion.
Odds are pretty good that Taiwan is cooked, by the way. With all this regional power shit that's been going on, the likelihood that Trump or Marco Rubio or whoever else has basically said, you need to let us have this, we'll let you have Taiwan, it's pretty high. I'm not joking. Like, if you live in Taiwan, I would be more sensitive to perceived signs of impending invasion in the coming like year or two. He just sold Taiwan 11 billion in defense equipment. It doesn't really matter. Like, he's not going to stop. For one, if he stopped pre-existing arm deals, that would really give the game away. But also, like, selling them arms gives us money. It gives our defense, you know, it adds to our coffers. It doesn't matter, right? There is no amount of equipment we could give Taiwan that would stop China except for nuclear weapons. That's it. They've been posturing for almost 80 years. Please don't fearmonger. I'm not fear-mongering. I know they've been posturing for a while. The reason they've been posturing is because they want to do it. And if they were ever going to do it, Trump is the president they would want in power. Basically, any other president, past or future, if China invaded Taiwan, our ships would be there. Any other president. You go back, you go to Biden, Obama, Bush, Clinton. If China invaded Taiwan, we would have carrier fleets out there by the shore. They would have to fight us too. And that's not great for China. They don't want that smoke. Right now, with Trump in position, this is the best shot they're ever going to get. Not saying that's a guarantee. I'm just saying, like, and the fact that the logic of the Trump administration keeps on being, this is our hemisphere. Okay, whose hemisphere is Taiwan in? They've said it about Ukraine too. Whose hemisphere is Ukraine in? I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's a guarantee. I'm just saying, like, we wouldn't even be able to save Taiwan even if we fought them. Maybe not. Like, it would be tough to compete with China's manufacturing abilities, but we'd have the help of the world, and also we've got, like, cool ships. Also, we're both nuclear powers, so, you know, whatever. So would every ally of Taiwan become an ally of China? I'm not sure what you mean. If China invaded and annexed Taiwan, I'm sure that there would be a wide range of responses. Some countries would just go, one China, like they always have, right? Some countries would, like, decry it, you know, censure China or put restrictions on them or whatever else. Altogether, though, no country can stop them but us. Japan would probably freak the fuck out, yeah.
I think there's some confusion from Americans and maybe the community in the world when it comes to what you said about Rodriguez earlier today in a phone interview. You said that she would face the same fate, if not worse.
Does this mean Ukraine's likely? No, because Ukraine's getting backup from Europe. And that's the only reason why. The European Union is not subscribing to our new obsession with Mearsheimer-esque realpolitik. So they're actually A-okay with defending Ukraine. If it was entirely up to us, Ukraine would probably be yeah. But Taiwan is entirely up to us. Like, we're the only country that could stop China from invading Taiwan. Japan doesn't have a military capable of stopping China, nor would they want to, and neither does Korea. So it's, yeah. Europe, on the other hand, is more than capable of, like, bolstering Ukraine to the point that they can fight off Russia. Why doesn't the EU not also supply Taiwan? Not their game. Also, totally different situation. For one, China is way stronger than Russia. For two, an invasion of Taiwan wouldn't be like Ukraine. With Ukraine, it's this grinding, like, slow-moving wall of artillery and personnel. But Taiwan's a little island, and China is massive. So it wouldn't be like a World War I-esque stalemate. So in order to supply them, the European Union, you know, nations would have to send arms halfway around the world to land on an island. China could easily just blockade Taiwan, too. Like, if China didn't want arms getting into Taiwan, all they would have to do is starve them out. You know, they could intercept it. You can't really do that with Ukraine. Ukraine shares a border with Poland, and there's nothing Russia can do to Poland without invoking Article 5. So it would be a shit show. Oh, for sure. I'm not saying it'd be. Listen, my only point here is that if you live in Taiwan, you should be flop sweating a little bit. That's it. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm just saying, like, if China was ever going to act on the like literal more than half century of posturing that they've engaged in, this is the time. There will be no better time.
Sure. But it sounds like you're talking to her on the phone and wanting to work with her.
My people are just the same thing.
Are considering her in power. Can you just clarify where you stand on Delcy Rodriguez right now being in power?
I don't have to tell you. I just say that she will face a situation probably worse than Maduro, because you know Maduro gave up immediately.
So she could also
he raised his hand, he gave up.
Maduro gave up, as in he wasn't captured, you know, like organically. He was sold out.
And he did the right thing, but he gave up. So we were so effective, and it was so fast and violent. It was very violent, but we were so effective. He raised his hands, he gave up.
What was the most violent moment during?
I don't want to tell you.
God, I hate this country. You guys really have no idea. It's just.
There were some bad moments, but there were some very violent moments. I don't want to tell you.
Did you get a briefing at all of the
In April.
Here's the story for me. He could be in Turkey today, but he's in New York. So if you tell people in Cuba, you need to stop being a communist dictatorship threatening America, you should go somewhere else. You better take the offer. Maduro has nobody to blame but himself. He gave him a way out. He chose to defy Trump and the U.S. military, and his ass...
He's so excited, dude. Lindsey Graham's been waiting for something like this for his entire goddamn career. He's so excited.
He's in jail where he deserves to be, and every president has said the same thing, but he didn't. About it.
I like how no journalist is even mentioning to him that he's contradicting his anti-war president messaging. Yeah, it's the same, like, Habsburg jaw, water brain, incest baby shit that's happening with politics, as in the media, you know? In a dictatorship, like, say, for example, in Mao's China, or like Stalin's Russia or whatever, the state reporters, like the state media whose job it is to produce propaganda, had to do a good job. There were stakes and measures of competence. In Nazi Germany, right? Like, broadcasters, propagandists, they couldn't just do whatever or phone it in. You know what would happen if they phoned it in? They would be shot. There were high standards for competence. Now, that's not to say they were competent, only that they were held to standards, or at least that there was an expectation that people tried. But in this country, nobody cares and nobody tries. Our government can do unspeakably evil shit, but also it's incredibly bad at doing it. Our reporters are complicit like pawns of the state, but they're really bad at doing it. There's no effort being put in, but there's also no effort being put in the countermeasure. The Democrats are incapable of doing anything too. Everyone's incompetent. Nobody here is locked in. Like, the reporters aren't even capable of, like, puffing up Trump very well. This woman's job is to puff up Trump, okay? That's it. That's the only reason that she's here. And as long as she does that, she gets to keep coming back and speaking to him over and over again. Notice how like 4 times in this interview she said, remember this previous thing we said? She keeps saying that. She wants to keep in good with him. She's the only one he's talking to. There are other reporters here, but she's the one who sucks his dick the best, so she gets to be up front. She gets to be the one who gets all the quotes. Yeah, she's a fluffer, exactly. But her only job here is to flatter Trump. She doesn't have to do a good job. So, like me puffing up the violent colonialist dictator. What was the most violent thing you saw? What was like the coolest? Fucking what? I don't think Hitler would have liked that question either. I'm not gonna lie. Not because he didn't like violence, but it would have been like, what the fuck are you talking? We're supposed to be pretending that we're doing this for like the glory of the German state or whatever. What do you mean? You know what I mean? Like what was the most violent moment in Poland? What are you or in Poland or in France or whatever? What are you talking about? It's just weird. You know what I'm talking about? Guy asking Idi Amin this question and getting the weird champ look. Yeah, guy like earnestly first day on the job of being a state reporter asking Saddam Hussein like how based and epic it was to gas the Kurds, and Saddam just gives him the look and he gets sent to a torture dungeon to be like brutally shaved to death or whatever. What are you doing? Day 1 of propaganda school.
Here's the story for
You know, one of the things that is happening, and I think you see it all the time, Howard, you've seen it, that Cuba is ready to fall. You know?
Yes.
Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. I don't know if they're going to hold out. But Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela. from the Venezuelan oil. They're not getting any of it. And Cuba literally is ready to fall. And
didn't a Western tanky reporter do this to Pol Pot, and then Pol Pot had him murdered in his hotel room? Yes, I had actually forgotten about that. Super funny. James Alexander Malcolm Caldwell, murdered a few hours after meeting Pol Pot in Cambodia. And his academic work prior to meeting Pol Pot was basically talking about how based and red-pilled the Khmer Rouge was. And that, such a funny historical tidbit, you know? Caldwell was a member, along with Elizabeth Becker and Richard Dudman, of one of the few groups of Western journalists and writers invited to visit Cambodia since the Khmer Rouge took power in 75. The three visitors were given a highly structured tour in the country. We traveled in a bubble, wrote Becker. No one was allowed to freely speak to me. On the 22nd of December, Caldwell had a private audience with Pol Pot, the leader of Cambodia. After the meeting, he came back to the guest house in Phnom Penh, where the three were staying in a mood described by Becker as euphoric. At about 11 p.m. that night, Becker was awakened by the sound of gunfire. She stepped out of her bedroom and saw a heavily armed Cambodian man who pointed a pistol at her. She ran back into her room and heard people moving and more gunshots. An hour later, a Cambodian came to her bedroom door and told her Caldwell was dead. He had been shot in the chest. And I think the narrative here a little bit was that he actually glazed Pol Pot too much. The Khmer Rouge conducted an internal inquiry, which found one of the guards present, quote, had been having an unhappy love affair and had gone on a shooting spree before killing himself. Yeah, right. 4 of the guards at the guest house were arrested. 2 of them confessed under torture that the killers were subversives attempting to undermine the Khmer Rouge regime, and Caldwell was killed, quote, to prevent the party from gathering friends in the world. Caldwell's brother thought that his brother had discovered the truth about the Pol Pot regime, but dared not admit this to either Becker or Dudman. However, journalist Andrew Anthony wrote this seems unlikely, who met the translator President Pol at Caldwell's meeting, said, who remembered a very pleasant exchange conducted in the spirit of enthusiastic agreement. So yeah, the only rational explanation we have for this one, yeah, he got kirked for being too much of a sycophant to Pol Pot. Like, Pol Pot sniffed this out. He was like, I don't like you. You're kind of a brown noser, you know? Had his ass killed. Crazy. Sorry, I don't know how we got on this. It's just really, really funny.
We have a lot of great Cuban Americans that are going to be very happy about this.
Marco Rubio, the go-to. The go-to, and you were just talking about Cuba and what could come next there. Are you considering U.S. action in Cuba?
We're not. I think it's just going to fall. I don't think we need any action. It looks like it's going down. It's going down for the count. You ever watch a fight?
I have.
They go down for the count. And Cuba looks like it's going down. What do you think, Howard?
It's going down. They've lived off of Venezuela, right? The economics were all Venezuelan, right? That's why you said the protective force of Maduro was Cuban, right? They were Cuban guards. So they were just paying Cuba when that money stopped.
Don't hire them in the future.
Yeah, they weren't very good.
People from our country who were forced to come over, they really didn't want, they were from Cuba. People from different countries like to stay in those countries, whatever, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And people want to go back to Cuba, and they want to work in Cuba, but Cuba's going down for the count. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay. Elon is great. He's a good guy. Talking about Russia and Ukraine. The voters that voted for me are thrilled. They say this is what they voted for. We're almost done. I'm sorry. I know, like this meeting was so bad that the highlights are basically of the same character as it's like the whole thing was highlights. Because every report, like every question from the reporters was like, okay, do you want to do another regime change? And Trump's like, yeah, we'll do it. Sure. You know, everything's clippable.
Down the source of the problem. President Trump didn't wake up one day and say, hey, let's take Venezuela. He did what other people talked about, but didn't have the balls or the guts to do it. This is a good thing. This is not interventionism. This is making America safer. We're going to be more prosperous because of the business deals. There are going to be Americans alive today because he shut down a narco-terrorist state called Venezuela. This is a good thing, not a bad thing.
And the oil companies are going to go in and rebuild their system. They're going to spend billions of dollars, and they're going to take the oil out of the ground, and we're taking back what they stole. Remember, they stole our property. It was the greatest theft in the history of America. Nobody has ever stolen our property like they have. They took our oil away from us. They took the infrastructure away. And all that infrastructure is rotted.
There's a 0% chance of China invading Japan. I wouldn't worry about that.
And decayed. And the oil companies are going to go in and rebuild it. We're not going to spend very much money at all, if anything. But the oil companies are going to go, we're going to take our oil back. But we're going to also do things that, when you look at what he did, the drugs are terrible, but also terrible. He sent hundreds of thousands of people into our country that should not be here. And that means from prisons. That means Tren de Aragua, the gang, Tren de Aragua, that comes out of Maduro's country. He was very friendly with that gang. Well, they're having a hard time right now. You know, we had Tren de Aragua all over Washington, D.C., and they got the hell beat out of them.
Jesus Christ.
States. Thank you very much,
Mr. President,
everybody.
if you had to sum up Operation Absolute Resolve, would you say that it was about oil or it was about regime change?
It's about peace on earth.
How is it peace on earth?
Peace on earth. We got to have peace. It's our hemisphere. The Monroe Doctrine was very important when it was done, and other presidents.
He's got a new favorite word. He got affordability, but then he dropped that one because he realized he wasn't going to be able to do anything about it.
A lot of them, they lost sight of it. I didn't. I didn't lose sight. But it really is. It's peace on earth. Thank you very much.
The Don Roe Doctrine. Did we do it? That was all the... We're almost done.
I don't think it's appropriate to talk to the press about it. You'll find out.
When it comes to him in court tomorrow, I mean, what's the end game here with Maduro? Does he just rot in a
We're just
U.S.
going to go
prison?
through a slog of a trial. The judge is very respected, Judge Hellerstein. He's a highly respected judge. We'll see how we do. The case is, it's infallible. People are so happy with what we've done. You know, you go down to Miami, you go down to a lot of places, and they're all dancing in the streets of this country.
Miami. Well, he's not wrong there. Okay, we did it. We did it. We did it. Please, God. Okay, yeah. Jesus Christ. Well, look forward to the next few weeks of this. Just every time Trump is in front of a camera, a reporter incredulously asking him, do you really want to do more regime changes? And him being like, yeah, of course. I mean, we'll fucking see. We'll see. We'll see if it's going to be Colombia or Mexico or Greenland. But I really think that Cuba's up on the chopping block, man. Imagine if Maduro gets off. That'd be so funny, man. Yeah.